of us had to spend our lives drunk on something. Else we'd have no cause to keep pushing on. Everyone was a slave to something.
Kenny Ackerman was a man who sought power over everything. Power was all he knew, whether it's imposing his own power over others or teaching it to people who needed it the most. Kenny was a slave to power until the very end. So why is someone like Kenny important in the world of Attack on Titan? Aside from making every scene he was in so very entertaining to watch with his fast-paced action scenes against Levi and the rest of the scouts, or his skirmish with Uri, what makes him important? Before we get to that point, it will be important to discuss some things before his introduction. In the world of Attack on Titan, people clung to dreams to keep pushing themselves forward. Armin's dreams of the sea, Erwin's dream of proving his father was correct about the people of the walls being manipulated and that humanity outside the walls weren't wiped out, and Eren's dreams of freedom. It's shown time and time again that to be able to move forward and fight against the cruel world they reside in, that these people need something to strive for. Something that will keep them moving forward, even in the most daunting of situations. Friend or foe, hero or villain, everyone is striving towards something. So what does Kenny have to do with this? Well, since Kenny's introduction, we see he was a man with a presence, a man that was determined to achieve something, even working with people who he'd aimed his blade at in the past to achieve said goal. He's done heinous things, all in the effort to get closer to what he deemed to be important to him, and he embodies what he represents in the show. What Kenny embodies is the message that to move forward, you have to be chasing towards something, no matter what that goal may be. He validates Eren and Reiner's philosophy that you have to keep moving forward. As he said in his last moments when speaking with Levi, if you weren't a slave to something, you'd have no reason to keep pushing on. Reiner was a slave to his mission, and ironically enough, Eren was a slave to freedom. It's what kept these two pushing forward, no matter the tragedy that was on the road ahead. In the great words of Kenny Ackerman, everyone was a slave to something. But what if I told you he embodied something else as well, and he validated another theme in Attack on Titan? Armin in season 1 said a really interesting quote about clinging to one's dream.
If you can't let it go, it's not worth holding on to.
Meaning that if you're unwilling to let go of the dream that you desire, then it was never worth following to begin with. Don't let the goal consume you. Don't be a slave to one's desires. All in all, don't be a slave to anything. You see, in Attack on Titan, Eren was so obsessed with his goal of freedom that he lost sight of why he wanted to attain it in the first place. Reiner's completion of his mission became so perverse that he went down a mental spiral for years after said mission was attempted. These are two examples of individuals not willing to let go of their dreams, and in the end, they ended up paying a price because of it. Although Reiner did come to realize the error of his ways later on. But two examples of letting go would be by not only the one who said the awe-inspiring quote I mentioned beforehand, but an individual he would soon come to get the acknowledgement of. Armin's dream was always to see the sea for himself beyond the walls. In the Battle of Shingeki, he would readily give up that dream in order to protect the people near and dear to him, to live to see another day. He didn't become consumed and make a selfish decision to keep pushing forward because of it. Our late commander, Erwin Smith, will also do the same thing with sacrificing himself for victory against the Titans, giving up on his dream of seeing what was in the basement of Eren's home and seeing if his father's theory of humanity outside the walls was correct. They were able to let go and not be consumed by their goals. So why is this important to Kenny Ackerman? How could someone like Kenny Ackerman embody this? In Kenny's final moments, he said everyone was a slave to something. He lists off multiple things people are consumed by, whether it be drinking, women, religion, family, the king, dreams, children, and power. When Kenny says power, the scene shows Kenny himself. He was a slave to power. He wanted the power of the founding Titan to see if he can become the same as Uri, a compassionate man. Kenny had every opportunity to inject himself with the Titan spinal fluid before Levi's arrival, and Levi asked him why he didn't do it. He gives Levi a poor excuse, saying to him that he might become like Uri Reiss if he does it wrong. Levi, knowing Kenny better than anyone else, asks him, doesn't he have a better excuse? Mere moments before Kenny's life runs out, he puts a syringe against Levi's chest, giving it to him to use for what he desires, and he succumbs to his wounds shortly afterwards. In this moment, Kenny let go of his dreams of power. A man who lived a selfish life, doing heinous actions to further his own dreams, let go of his obsession. Uri Reiss did indeed tell Kenny that he wouldn't be able to use the Founding Titan's abilities because of his lack of real blood, but I truly believe it goes beyond that. Kenny was willing to do anything, kill anyone, if it meant he can get to that goal, but he just gave up on it, after telling Levi that every human was the same, that every person is a slave to something. With the sort of person Kenny was, he truly showed us what it meant to move forward. Yes, it's okay to cling to a dream, but sometimes letting go of said dream is for the better. To not suffer from clinging to it is preferable to chasing it no matter the consequences. Letting go of one's dreams instead of being consumed by it was shown time and time again to make a person truly move forward instead of clinging on to the hope of a dream, especially at the expense of oneself. Reiner and Eren were wrong in what moving forward meant. Instead of moving forward based on what you are obsessed with, It's unarguably more powerful to let it go and move forward when a dream you cling to doesn't do you any good and holds you back. This is what Kenny Ackerman shows, what he embodies, and what makes Kenny Ackerman one of Attack on Titan's most important characters. He shows us what moving forward truly means.